Okay, period. Welcome YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. If y'all watched the first episode, I'm beyond grateful that y'all came back to watch episode 2 with me and Callie. You want to say what's up to the people,
Hey,
Callie?
peace, y'all. How y'all doing?
Yes. So last time we talked about the dynamic between black men and women, right?
Mhm.
Specifically, is there an agenda to cause division or cause animosity between the two? If that's something that y'all are interested in, definitely go on my channel and check that out. But
Definitely go
today we're
watch that.
gonna, yeah, go check it out. I feel like we did a great job. We got into a lot, right? Um, but this time we're going to be discussing body count. Okay, body count.
It's
Like
getting it's getting
if
a little sticky in here.
very sticky, very sticky. Like if you have not been under a rock and you have been anywhere on social media, you know that this is one of the hot topics. This is like okay. Okay. So I feel like there's a lot that we gotta lay a little bit of foundation, right? When it comes to body count. So first and foremost, what do you consider a high body count, right? And is your answer different depending on man or female?
Mm. Um. Damn. I'm so scared to answer that question.
Why are you scared to
Okay.
answer?
I don't know. I have dualistic perspectives on it. Different
Mm-hmm.
perspectives. But if I were to pick a number
Uh-huh.
in general, I feel like over over 15 people.
Over 15? Okay.
Yeah,
And
is
that
high.
is that the same for male and female, or do you feel like it's
I would
different?
I would say the same.
Okay. And so when you say 15, do you mean in their life in general or just like at our age? Like I'm 23. So if you got 15 bodies by 23, you doing too much. Or is it?
Yeah, but then that's what I'm saying. Like I have another dualistic perspective about it. Because
Mhm.
at the same time I don't feel like we're defined by like how many people we slept with. you know,
Okay.
because I feel like how you go about things matters. Like how you're going about it. So like I feel like if you don't even know these people, you don't even care, like you got no type of criteria, no type of like judgment going into the scene, like
Mhm.
and you just you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I think that you need to like chill and like really get some better perspective of self, life, self worth, value, all of that stuff. But
Mhm.
I feel like someone could have like maybe over the number that I said, right? And that's been accumulated throughout their life over a period of time, you
Mhm.
know, and just circumstances have occurred and like they know the people, like I don't know, like they use their intuition to like guide them, through
Okay.
it. Like I don't know, it's just so hard. I really feel like it's hard to like really put a
Put
number
a
on it
number.
because of
Yeah.
that. That's
Mhm.
why it's so hard because I'm like I don't know, like I don't keep track. I don't even keep track of my number. I ain't keeping track of my number. I'm not tallying that shit on the wall. Like, come on, man.
Okay.
I'm
I like that
energy.
you said that cuz
I'm
we going to get into
energy.
that. I like that you said that.
Yeah.
So I think that I share a very similar perspective. As far as like the whole, it's not really the number, right? Like me personally, I'm a quality over quantity person in either
Right.
direction,
Right.
right? So whether I don't think that the goal is to sleep with as many people as possible, but I also don't think that the goal is to sleep with as little people as possible. Like I feel like the quantity is kind of irrelevant compared to the quality. However, I do feel like the higher quality of people you deal with, the less
So
likely that the quantity will be high because why
exactly.
would you switch up, you know?
Right. Right.
But, right? I noticed that society, because let's be real, let's cut the bullshit. The body count conversation is mostly directed at women. Let's be all the way honest. Um,
Definitely.
and I find that society like puts a lot of pressure on women to keep a low body count, regardless of the scenario. Um, to the point where you will have people who focus solely on how many people they slept with as opposed to the quality of people they slept with. So like the literally the best example I can think of right now.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with Blueface, Krishan, Jaden, Alexis? Are you familiar with that
Vaguely,
little
vaguely. I don't watch their show, but I know the drama and I know the teas and all that stuff that
Okay,
I've heard.
boom.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there, y'all don't know who it is, quick rundown. Blueface is a rapper. That's all you need to know. He got two baby mamas. Okay. Now, the first baby mama, she prides herself in saying that he's the only man that she's ever slept with, right? So she met him 10 years ago in high school. She hasn't been with anybody else. And when I tell you they rub this in our face, it's in her music, it's in his music. They keep posting about it and bragging about it and do, right? And so the reason why this is interesting to me is because it's like, girl, you pride yourself on this being the only man that you slept with, but he's cheated on you publicly 1,000 times. He's recorded you passed out drunk with your panties showing. He's humiliated you, degraded you, attacked your character and your intelligence publicly. In one of her most recent interviews, she even went into detail about how he was out cheating on her when she was like 9 months pregnant. She's at home sick, throwing up, and he's out fucking off, right? So the reason why this is important to me is because yes, you've only slept with one man, but because of the type of man that this is, you're going through more shit, more trauma, more mental abuse and drainage than a female that's sleeping with 10 niggas. Like, so it's like to me, in that type of scenario, does it really matter the quantity when the quality is lacking? That's the
Right.
question I want to pose because I feel like as a female, you can sleep with 5 dudes, just for example, who are clean, their hygiene's on point, they use protection, they're intelligent, they take their mental and emotional health very seriously. But you can sleep with one nigga who's dirty as fuck, who exposes you to STDs, who's mentally, physically, emotionally abusive, but you think just because it's one shitty ass nigga, that's all that matters, right?
Right. Right.
So that's my little tangent on the quantity thing.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know all of that, but that I didn't know she
Girl.
only sleep with just him for all this
Mhm.
time that she's been with him. But yeah, that's crazy. Like and if he was her first, that's
Mhm.
another whole conversation, because like the first person that you sleep with 9 times out of 10, you know how women be like the first dude you sleep with, like you be acting dumb for
As fuck.
him, like yeah, we act dumb for the first dude that we be with, and so it's like that energy being carried out for so long, like it's a very childish energy. Like I remember my first time. I remember the dude. I remember all the stupid shit about how my mind used to work around that person and stuff like that. Like undeserved like love and admiration. You know what I'm saying? So
Just because he's your
I don't.
first. I mean, you
Right,
seen my
right,
first. You seen you
right,
seen like
right.
Callie seen live action how dumb I was over my first, right? Uh,
I had to curse that nigga out. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
Mhm.
yeah. So that's crazy. But yeah, quality over quantity at all times. Like
Mhm.
it's crazy. Like with the wound. You know what I'm saying? Because you would want to ideally think, you could just be with that one person, like only be with that one person, like no matter what. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Like Angel said, there's so many things to calculate,
Mhm.
and there's definitely a double standard against, men and women in regards to body count, and in regards to so many things that involve
Right.
like sexuality in general. And I think the truth that we be missing is that like we really are the same in a lot of regards. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like I'm not saying that we're completely the same. Men and women are different,
Mhm.
but in terms of like mental space, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like spiritual spaces and stuff like that. You know, like we're the same. So it's like you have to add that into your calculation when you're dealing with a dude. Like, yeah,
That's a fact. So do you think there's any validity to the concept that body count says something about the character of a woman?
I'm gonna say this right.
Mhm.
I'm a woman that has been through many phases of myself,
Mhm.
many phases, and I have no doubt that many other women have been through many phases. And there's been phases where maybe I've like not cared about that as much, or like I didn't have the insights that I have now, or the maturity, or the wisdom, or whatever the case is. You're young, you want to live, like you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
there's so many factors. Like I said in the last episode, with age comes wisdom.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, I've been many different women, and so like at any of those points, I could be judged. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I could be judged, but I don't know. I feel like the only judgment that really matters is your judgment for yourself, because you the one who knows like your journey. You know where you've been at, like, and in each stage you learn different things from those stages. Like I could never take those stages away from myself. Like
Right. Right.
I hate that people feel so comfortable to judge, like the whole notion of like judging each other so harshly off of such base information that again
Mm,
is missing so much context.
exactly.
Like you never really get to know who a person really is if you gonna just base it off of that. Like there's so much that's being assumed off of a number.
Exactly. Especially when we're dealing with such complex topics such as love, sexuality, relationships, period. And so when you look at body count, it's literally just looking at this is how many people you had sex with, right?
Right.
It's not going in, it's not factoring any other detail, any other context. And there's so many different contexts and possibilities. Um, it's crazy. Like you said, you go through different experiences and phases of your journey as a female, period. As a man too, but at the end of the day, we're women. So I can't speak for men.
Right. And I
But
feel like I feel like that's but I feel like right there what you said, like we both go
Mhm,
through different phases, like that's important because like I feel like the woman's notion, like the idea that a woman evolves over time,
mhm.
you know what I'm saying, and goes through different phases of herself, that's not factored in a way
Yeah.
that we just accept men go through different phases. Oh, that was his dog
Yeah,
years. That was his
boys will be
da 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 years. Like
boys. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
we're different, but we pretty much the same in men. Like there's women that are like really sexually like they just like that, like they it part of their needs and stuff like that.
Right.
Like it's not like, oh, we're all this like really sweet. I'm not necessarily really sweet, but we're all this like, I don't know, we're nuns. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
we
Like
all
you will
just
have people that
are
will
women,
say
so we
shit.
just gotta be like covered up and
Mhm.
all this other shit. Like
Yeah, you'll have people that will sit there and say shit like I seen like this very young couple that got married the other day. And you seen comments like, "Oh, he's young, he's in that phase in his life, like blah blah blah." And it's like, do we think that only men are young? Like, do we think that only men go through adolescence and go through
right,
a young adulthood where they're experimenting and finding themselves and being young and dumb? Like, do we think that that's solely a male experience realistically?
right,
And I do understand that there are marginal maturity differences. I do understand that as females, we start menstruation around the time dudes are, throwing paper airplanes. But
mhm, right,
like there are those marginal differences. But in general, we all still have these phases in our life. And piggybacking off of that, I do feel like this is where I kind of understand the body count conversation. Because during my phases in life, right? Without getting too much into my business, right? I started off very like saving myself for one person, you know, gave
Same.
it to that one person and was locked in for 2 years, even when we weren't together, even when we split up, didn't fuck with nobody else for 2 years, right? Got back with him, broke up again, and was still not trying to fuck with nobody. Like I was very much, and it was part of it was just love, you know, but another part of it was this conversation of not wanting to be a hoe, not wanting
Right.
to add another body. So I'm hanging on to this one piece of shit because I don't want to, I don't want to up my
Right.
body count.
Right.
But what I can say is once I did finally get to that point where I didn't care, it wasn't in a healthy space, right? It was coming from the hurt and the feeling of like it doesn't matter. Like if I saved myself for one person and was loyal to that one person and did everything by the book and this is how it turned out, it doesn't fucking matter, right? And so I kind of just said fuck it. And so this is why earlier I do say that there's a correlation between quality and quantity, where when you have quality partners, there tends to be a lower amount because you're happy, you're content, you're being fulfilled. You're not feeling the need to like shift around.
Right.
But I do feel like I went through that phase where I didn't look at myself with the most respect. I wasn't happy. I was very insecure. I was very just at a very fragile point in my journey, and I do notice that that's where I accumulated bodies, right? During that
Right.
time. So I do feel like maybe there is some truth to quantity or body count having a reflection on how a woman feels about herself in the type of state of mind that she's in, just from my experience.
Hmm.
Um, so kind of going based off of that, what is your personal relationship with the body count concept? Like how has it, if at all, affected like your mentality, or the way you think as a woman?
I don't really feel like the conversation about body count has
Mm-hmm.
affected me too much personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have always been a person that is more so to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So everything with me is energy,
Right.
timing, so, you know, I don't know, like, I don't really feel that much related to it. Like, I can't really say that in my time span that my body count, like, again, has been like
Mm-hmm.
something that I'd be on my mind, like, oh my God, I need to watch my body count. I need to watch my body. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's not much that has resulted from that for me.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of me in general, like, like I've again, like I was a very sheltered child. You know what I'm saying? When I was in high school, my high school days, like my younger years, like that, I pretty much stayed to myself. You know what I'm saying? I go to school, I go home. I had one boyfriend. That was the guy that the first guy. We
Mm-hmm.
were together for 2 years, and I thought that was gonna be forever. Again, like you, like that was my intention. My intention
Mm-hmm.
was when I give this up, that till we die. You know what I'm saying? Like this is it to
Mm-hmm.
the grave. That was my mentality until I had to learn that, like, though I feel this way and I'm writing like this person is not treating me well. And I had to
Mm-hmm.
realize there are other possibilities for me. So that's you know that's where like
Yeah, and
how
that's the
how I
thing
phrase
that
that.
like pisses me off sometimes about the body count conversation is that a lot of young girls start off with this mentality of once I give this up, regardless of what happens, I gotta stick it out with this nigga. Like going men, and it's like boys, they go into the dating scene with the complete opposite mentality.
Oh
You're
yeah.
young, spread
How
your
can I rack it up?
royalty,
They like, how
you
can they
know.
rack their body count up?
Exactly. Here's a condom, son. Just make sure you strap it up, wild out. Don't take no bitch serious until. Whereas females, it's like, when you give this up, this is it.
It's a
And
setup.
exactly. And the problem with that is because look at what's going on. The girl who's going out there and fucking with the mentality of this is the one, she's fucking a boy who has been fed the mentality of you just fucking whoever and hitting whatever you can until you 30, right? So it creates
Hmm.
a disconnect. It creates young girls who are looking for love and commitment and, attaching themselves,
Right.
ending up with niggas who are looking for the complete opposite. So it's like, how does that work? How does that correlate? How do you even communicate that? To me, is counterproductive to have two parts that go together, but teach those two parts the complete opposite thing. It's like we're starting off with opposition and confusion, right?
Right.
Um, and I think again, just bringing it back full circle, I feel like that can create a situation to where you walk into something that's not the best for you. And this is where people will say choose better, bro. Come on now. Like
Right.
anytime you're doing something for the first time with no experience, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna bump your head. You don't even know what to choose for.
Right.
In all honesty, the shit that is a red flag to me now as a 23-year-old completely went over my head at 18 years old. I never knew that this would should be considered a red flag,
Right.
right? There's nothing but experience that can teach that to you, especially when you grow up in a situation where you don't have a mother, you don't have a father, you don't have that village or group of people to really put you on game. It's like you kind of have to just bump your head and teach yourself better as you go. And I feel like um the obsession with body count can kind of rob young girls of that experience, you know?
Right. Right.
Hmm.
It's a lot of factors, like you said. Family being involved, like we spoke about in the last live.
Hmm.
Um, about like getting that guidance from the elders. Because we're all of us are men and women. We're all kind of like innocent, and
Yeah.
then we come out into the situation. We get told things. We get shown things. We get guided in certain ways
Hmm.
by the society and the programming that leads us down the same path the ones before us took, you
Right.
know, and it definitely gets confusing. I feel like if boys were taught to value the womb, the way that, girls are usually, you know, co- somewhat conditioned, especially if they grew up in like a Christian home or something like that, to value their womb, then maybe
Hmm.
they would take it like, because it really was a gift. Whoever got you first, like you were giving them a gift, a very precious gift. But if
Hmm.
they didn't see it like that, they're not looking at the stakes of the situation the same way as you are, you know. So they're not gonna handle it properly. So it's just,
Exactly.
yeah, it's just like that.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I was getting at is like if you teach, I can feel however I feel about this cup, right? I can feel like this cup is the most special and valuable thing in the world. But if I give it to somebody who doesn't give a shit about it doesn't matter what I think about it, right? And that's one thing on like a personal level. But when we're talking on a macro level where everyone else is being taught that this cup is disposable, you see what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like it
Right.
creates like this kind of situation where it's like I'm the only one who thinks this shit is valuable still, right? So
Right.
it's like you can, that's why I feel like we have to take responsibility as adults or people who are teenagers, whatever, um and taking a responsibility in how we teach our children and what we teach them, right? Not just, I feel like there's a lot of things that we kind of just pass down just because that's what we're used to hearing. And we never take the
Right.
time to pause and really think deeply. Does this make sense? Right?
Right.
Is this effective? I've been taught this since I was a kid. How did this apply to my life? How did this help me out in life? Or did this hinder me in life? You see what I'm saying? I feel like a lot
Right.
of people don't really have that conversation. If your mom told you, um, I don't know, for example, I don't know. Like if your mom taught you um don't never speak back to an adult, never talk back to an adult, right? For example,
Right.
um I'm sure you've gone through life and you've had experiences where you felt like you needed to stand up for yourself against an adult and you couldn't
Right.
because they were an adult, right? And
Right.
you felt that that wasn't fair and you felt that that doesn't make sense and you've seen how that played out negatively in your life. But then you're going to turn around and teach your child the same shit that didn't work for you just because
Right.
that's what generations upon generations have done. That's kind of what I feel is going on with the sexual thing.
Lack
Is
of
there's just a
discernment.
lot of, yeah, there's just a lot of like hand me down information that has been passed down since like the 17th century. And it's not been working, but we keep passing it down anyways just because that's what we're supposed to do. And I
Right.
feel like we need to stop doing that.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Definitely. Definitely. Discernment. Discernment is everything, you know.
Mhm.
Having a connection with something, you
Mhm.
know, a higher power, you know, or, you know, just your inner like intuitive guidance system
Mhm.
could be very helpful. Like self-worth is so important. I think that's what's really important within the notion of like body count in general, in any facet
Mhm.
of life, you know. Self-value, self-worth, like really loving yourself, knowing your value and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
you know, unfortunately having to be on guard at all points in regards to that. Like that's your most precious thing. Like, you know, any young girl that's already given up that, like, and she's worried about the body count and stuff, like don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I said in the beginning, you know, it's a journey. You learn yourself through every phase. Like that's why that's another thing. Like, I feel like no matter how high someone's body count is, like so-called redemption is always possible. You know what I'm saying? Like if your
Mhm.
mentality is changed, your habits change, you're changed.
Right.
You're changed.
Exactly.
Like so that whatever judgment coming with that is for an old version. You know, you upgraded now. Like
Exactly. Exactly. That's the thing. Is like it's you always gonna have people that try to tear you down because they feel some type of way about the decisions that you've made in life. No matter what you do, you can literally be a virgin Christian woman who spends
right,
every day in church, and you gonna have people that hate you because you're not Muslim.
right,
You gonna have people that
right,
hate you because you're not a Satanist. Whatever. Like it's always gonna be a group of people that disagree with some shit that you do. So if you go through life trying to please every demographic and every opinion out there, you will drive yourself literally insane.
right,
Literally insane. We see it all the time with like celebrities and public figures who have these major meltdowns and mental breakdowns. And a lot of people instantly blame it on stuff like Illuminati and blah blah blah. But it's like imagine your entire life being front and center for thousands, if not millions, of dogmatic ass people. Like,
right,
imagine that. And
right,
it's not hard to see how people can have these mental breakdowns, and it has nothing to do with spookism or Illuminati. It's just having every facet of their life being picked apart and trying to split themselves in a million different directions. So
right.
I guess that's my ultimate take on it. I did want to ask you, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a girl mom 2 times now, right?
Yes.
2 girls deep. But you're a boy mom. So like how do you think your perspective of, body count or just the topic of sensuality in general, right?
Mhm.
If you can think back to before you had a son, how you looked at
Right.
it, right? Do you think that your mentality towards it has changed, or how you plan on teaching him, the way that you look at the dynamic, do you feel like that has changed because you have a son to raise?
Mm, yes. I honestly feel like I think you've heard me say this. I feel like people that have kids and people that don't have
Hmm.
kids, we it's totally different breeds out here. You know what I'm saying? Because once you have a child, things change in your mind.
Yeah.
Like things change.
Yeah.
Like you have to look at things different because your life is tied to someone else's. It's
Hmm.
like you get back in touch with your younger self, like your more innocent self, because you have to
Hmm.
think of your child's innocence and protect that in the world. So before I had my son, again, like I've always been like a person that's pretty much to myself, you know.
Mhm.
So I've always been, I guess, I'm not saying like modest in terms of like how I dress and all this other superficial stuff. I mean modest in like how I like approach people and situations. Like I'm always like gonna observe stuff, you know. I'm not like a super loud person or whatever. But
Mhm.
after I had my son, um, I think I had more of a perspective when I'm dealing with other people, like in terms
Mhm.
of romantic relations with other people, like how it would affect my child. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like, can be having too many people around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't want to be involved too much in certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess my the criteria for how I engage change
Mhm.
because it's either you gonna be here, be here, or not.
Right.
Like, period. Like,
Mhm.
so in that regard, but in terms of like how I teach my son or how I plan to, implement all of that because he's very young still.
Mhm.
Um, I want him to be able to respect women. I always wanted that. I'm a woman, of course,
Mhm.
respect women. I plan to be a person that speaks to my child and doesn't censor topics, especially when he gets like, when he gets to a certain age where we can like fully have a full, understanding of each other through conversation and stuff like that.
Right.
I plan to have conversations about a lot of stuff because I feel like that's what was lacking for me, and other people I've, encountered. I feel like if more open conversations had, like real ass conversations had about things in life that one's definitely going to encounter,
Mhm.
you know, it would be better. Even if that child goes off and they go off and don't listen to what you're saying and go off have their own experience or whatever.
Right.
No matter what, if you know that what she's saying is the truth because you know you've been through that whole experience, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like how I have, like, I know that at some point something I've said is going to come back around, like,
Yeah.
oh, and
Mm.
that could be the tipping point for for him to lay a better path down than if I never said anything, and he has to get that realization a little bit, and then be like,
Mhm.
let me go back around and see if I get if that's what you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
when it's a foreign concept. So
Yeah.
that's my
I
perspective
definitely
on that.
agree. I definitely agree. You got to trust your kids to go through their journey, bro. You can't. I know as
Right.
parents it's hard. Like you wanna hold on. Like you wanna hold their hand every step of the way and teach them how to be them. But it's like you can't do that. I think
Expect them
all
to
you
make
can
mistakes.
do, all you can do is be you, right?
Right.
And if who you are is a respectable, honorable, admirable person, your kid will naturally look at you and aspire to be like you, right? um they'll naturally do it. You won't have to tell them to be like you won't have to force them, you won't have to
Right.
drag them. They'll just naturally admire you, you know.
Right.
And so that's honestly my focus as a girl mom, especially because she's literally going to want to be like me, right? Even
Right.
now I see that where she just literally is literally like she when she puts her dress on she like cute. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know you got that from me, girl. Like you don't even know what cute
Yeah.
is. Like so it's like that's where I've been like, okay, look, let me not focus so hardcore on her life and what I envision her life being and who I envision her to be. Let me focus on molding myself
Mm.
into the best example. Let me focus on
Ashe.
finding myself as peacefully and authentically as I can, and everything else will naturally fall in the line. And
Right.
I think that's the same take that I have on the whole like body count and fuck all that. Okay. Like my goal is to maintain a healthy, harmonious relationship, which alhamdulillah I have, right?
Right.
And just
Right.
focus on cultivating that and she'll see that. She'll see the love between her mother and father. She'll see the the dynamic, she'll see the happiness, and she won't grow up with those same like stigmas and negative attachments to relationships. Inshallah, she'll have a more healthy approach towards sex and relationships and intimacy. And that will naturally, coming back full circle, having that quality relationship will naturally deter a high quantity, if that's what people are so fucking obsessed with, right?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
That is quality.
So other than that, is there anything else you want to tell the people, or you wanna dig into before we slide out of here today?
Nah, I feel like we laid it down. You know,
Period.
y'all pick it up. You
Period.
know, all love and peace.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank
Thank
y'all for
you.
tuning in once again. Like y'all 2 episodes deep, but we rocking at this point. We'll be back for episode 3 tomorrow, inshallah. We're supposed to be getting into, is the term cisgender offensive or not? Um,
Okay.
so I'm doing that with Rage. You're more than welcome, Callie. This is a live invitation. Y'all watching a live invitation. You're more than
Okay.
welcome to jump into that conversation if you want to.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
and we can correspond about it, off of here, whatever. But that's the next episode, y'all. Tune in if y'all are interested. Peace. And then we got to exit full screen and then come over here and end the recording. Okay.